State of Decay 2 is about to receive a huge update that is available right now on their test branch for all Steam users, set to change the way the game is played in a variety of ways. In this video, I'll be covering the big ticket items for the update and showing how they work in practice. If you get something useful from the video or just find it entertaining, you can do me a huge favor by dropping the video a like or subscribing to the channel. So let's get into the new update. Previously in State of Decay 2, the goal was to clear out plague hearts across the map to free up new areas to be claimed as outposts. These plague hearts would spawn infestations in buildings around the map, featuring screamers and regular zombies that players would need to clear out as they popped up in a twisted game of whack-a-mole. Now, with the new update, plague hearts actually start off in a dormant state. If you're not careful during your excursions, you'll awaken a plague heart through actions like killing zombies or by not getting to a screamer quick enough. But why is this new system important? Well, where infestations would previously crop up at random, they are now directly linked to plague hearts. Once a plague heart is awakened, they will start to take action against your survivors, directing hordes of zombies to infest buildings that are closer to your base. Formerly, infestations would have a single state, but now these infestations will grow in severity the longer they are left unattended to. Level 1 severity usually just has a screamer and some regular Zeds, but as they grow to level 2 and level 3, you'll now find that other freaks have been added to the mix, including ferals, bloaters, and even juggernauts that can join the infestation, making it an increasingly difficult task to get rid of if you leave it to stagnate. Your one saving grace if you end up with some of the higher severity infestations is that an infestation can be cleared instantly by eliminating all of the screamers present at the site. So, if you can stay undetected or act fast, you can make your escape after taking out the key targets. Now, you might be thinking that the new system sounds pretty tough, and you'd be right. It's a definite step up from the previous system, and the developers haven't stopped there. The infestations have what they call a system of parentage, which essentially means that as they grow in severity, they may choose to splinter off into another infestation nearby. This reduces the number of zombies at the initial infestation site and gives you a good opportunity to make your move if you're nearby. But be aware that if the newly formed horde reaches its destination, you'll then have two infestations on your hands, and both will start to fortify themselves. You can probably already imagine how this can quickly spiral out of control, so acting fast is your best course of action. An interesting new part of this update is that you'll receive notifications when a plague heart sends a new horde to infest a building, and you'll actually be able to track the horde's progress on the map. This gives you a chance to intercept them before reaching their final target, and is usually the best way to deal with them. From what we've seen so far, these hordes contain any zombie type now, but they're much less of a challenge than the infestations, as you'll be fighting those infestations in a tight space. To add to this increasingly nightmarish dilemma, sieges have been completely reworked. I haven't experienced one of these just yet, but the developers were talking about this on a stream not too long ago, and where previously these weren't a big worry for players, they are now going to be directly linked to the amount of infestations on your map, and you can probably already tell where this is going. The more infestations there are, the more hordes will be sent out from these infestations and towards your base. This could mean that there's a crazy amount of zombies headed your way. What's worse is that they won't just attack when they reach you, they'll gather in areas around your base and wait for reinforcements before the screamers let loose a battle cry and all hell breaks loose. Again, I haven't tried these just yet, but I get the sense that they will really be something you want to avoid in the future. There's one final big feature that the developers have brought in with this update, and for this one, I'm going to give you a scenario. Let's say you've been out on a couple of missions away from base and have managed to accidentally awaken 2 or 3 plague hearts, but don't have the tools to deal with them directly just yet. They're now sending several hordes towards your territory, too many for you to intercept yourself, meaning you'll have infestations on your hands in no time. Well, fans of the original State of Decay will remember that there were defensive options associated with outposts for this exact instance. And with the new update, the developers are bringing back this fan favorite feature. Outposts can now be used to place defensive minefields, lures, or disruptors. It'll cost you some supplies, but is incredibly effective effective at intercepting hordes, like in the scenario I mentioned previously, allowing you to stop infestations from manifesting without even being present and gain control of the situation. The safe zone around an outpost will expand considerably when you activate a defense option, which gives you the potential to lock off areas of the map by placing outposts in the right place. So, how does it play out in practice? I've spent in excess of about 10 hours with the new update so far, which was enough for us to clear out a few play cards and gain a better understanding of the new system. My thoughts initially were that activating more than one play card is essentially a death sentence due to how quickly infestations start to pop up and how quickly they increase in severity. With 3 active play cards, infestations were being set up every 15 minutes or so, and severity was climbing every few minutes once they were placed, which I do think needs some dialing back, even if we were playing on the Nightmare difficulty. Compared to the rest of the difficulty aspects of the game, it did seem a bit disproportionate to the rest of the mechanics and the level of challenge that they presented. After some more time with the new features, however, we did figure out how to better deal with the play cards, and it was a bit of a system shock in terms of our existing playstyle. Where previously there was basically no penalty for exploring the far reaches of the map, what I'd advise for anyone picking up this update is to start by staying close to home. If you take on a mission away from base in an area that is claimed by a play card, you're going to set it off, and from there your life becomes incredibly difficult. Instead, we found that looting the nearby area and letting the play card sleep in the early stages kept our little band of survivors safe until we'd gathered up enough resources to take on our first play card directly. Start with the ones closest to your territory and expand on your safe area, opting to avoid any missions that are in plague territory for the time being. This is going to mean that at most, you'll only ever have one play card active, and it'll be the one you're intending to attack next. Once you've taken out your first 2 or 3, start placing down some outposts and push them to the edges of your safe area. You can then use these to cut off any hordes that are sent your way in the later stages of the game as you take on more dangerous missions. Just make sure you're keeping some fuel and ammunition back to activate your defenses when you need to. In summary, the new update was difficult at first and requires a drastic change of playstyle for the average player who is used to how State of Decay 2 works, but I don't necessarily think that this is a bad thing. It's challenging and punishes the player for their mistakes, but gives you ample opportunity to learn from that and avoid making those same mistakes in future. I do still think that the spawn rate of infestations and the increase in severity could be dialed back slightly to make for a less frustrating experience if you happen to activate a play card accidentally, but overall, the new features have succeeded in making an experience that is intelligently designed and rewarding for those that are prepared to persevere. So that's it from me in this one, but I'd be very interested to hear from other players that have been testing this update. Let me know what difficulty you've been on and how you found the new features. Is it too difficult? Too easy? Do you have some tips you can share with other players? Comment sections on videos like these can act as a font of knowledge, and I'd really like to encourage players to help each other out. So yeah, let me know how your experience has been. Special shout out to all my Patreon supporters who have decided to financially support my content creation endeavors. I seriously couldn't do it without you guys, and I hope you all know how much I value the support. All of my patrons have access to some unique benefits and whitelisted game servers, so if you fancy giving that a look, there's a link on the Patreon page in the description. Thanks folks, and I will see you all in the next one.